Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Homage to the Blessed One, the Worthy One, the Supremely Enlightened One. Homage to the Blessed One, the Worthy One, the Supremely Enlightened One. Homage to the Blessed One, the Worthy One, the Supremely Enlightened One. Buddhaṃ saranam gacchāmi, Dhammaṃ saranam gacchāmi, Sanghaṃ saranam gacchāmi, Dutiyampi Buddhaṃ saranam gacchāmi, Dutiyampi Dhammam saranam gacchāmi, Dutiyampi Sangham saranam gacchāmi, Tatiyampi Buddhaṃ saranam gacchāmi, Tatiyampi Dhammam saranam gacchāmi, Tatiyampi Sangham saranam gacchāmi. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Okay, friends, next let's chant the qualities of the Supreme Buddha. Say with me. Iti piso bhagava arahant samma sambuddho vichacharana sampanno sugato lokavido anuttaro purisa dhamma sarati Satta deva manussanan buddho bhagavate such indeed is the blessed one arahant worthy one supremely enlightened endowed with knowledge and virtue follower of the noble path, knower of worlds, the peerless trainer of persons, teacher of gods and humans, the enlightened teacher, the blessed one. Next, we chant the qualities of the Buddha's teachings. Swakato Bhagavata Dhammo Sanditiko Akaliko Ehi Passiko Openaiko Pachatang Veditabbo Vinyuhiti. Well taught by the Blessed One is the Dhamma, visible here and now, timeless, open to all, learned and applied to oneself, understood by the wise each for himself. Next, we chant the qualities of the order of the Supreme Buddha, which means those who practice this Dhamma transform their life into these beautiful qualities. So we will remember them. These are the enlightened beings and their qualities. Supatipanno bhagavato savaka sangho Ujupatipanno bhagavato savaka sangho Nyayapatipanno bhagavato savaka sangho Samici patipanno bhagavato savaka sangho Yadidan chattari purisa yugani atta purisa puggala Esa bhagavato savaka Ahuneyo pahuneyo dakineyo anjali karaniyo anuttarang punyaketang lokasati. Oh, pure conduct is the order of disciples of the Blessed One. Of upright conduct is the disciples of the Blessed One. Of wise conduct is the order of disciples of the Blessed One. Of generous conduct is the order of disciples of the Blessed One. Those four pairs of persons, the eight kinds of individuals, that is the order of disciples of the Blessed One. They are worthy of offerings. They are worthy of hospitality. They are worthy of gifts. They are worthy of reverential salutations and incomparable field of merit for the world. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Let's listen to a sutta, Dhamma teaching. I'm not sure what to share with you today. Do you have any favorite suttas? Can you give me a hint? Where to begin?
Yeah, last week was Kaggavis.
Kaggavisana Sutta, yeah. There are many suttas. Can you guess how many suttas are there? It said, no, little more. Not 5,000.
18,000, is it?
Yeah, it's 18,000. But it said that the attendant Bhante to the Buddha collected all the teachings, but he said, I collected 84,000.
Yes, and the verses.
Yeah. But he said that we today we have 18,000 with the translations. But there is most important suttas survived. It came by recitations, you know. Yeah. Don't doubt. There is Satipatthana Sutta. And there is also teachings on Noble Eightfold Path. Okay. And about 5 aggregates. About 6 sense bases. Yeah. And also beautiful other suttas, such as the discussions Buddha had with other people time to time when he's wandering in the cities. So he meets somebody, so ask some questions, then the Buddha give answers. This is a very deep topic, very technical, yeah.
The other one is
Let's try to go a little bit, and if it is making more and more complex, I will post it, okay? So I have heard. At one time, the Buddha was staying near Savatthi in Jeta's group, Anathapindika's monastery. Then in the late afternoon, Venerable Mahakottitha came out of retreat, went to Venerable Sariputta, and exchanged greetings with him. Those were two enlightened Bhantes living together with the Buddha while Buddha was staying Savatthi. So normally when the Bhantes go to the alms food, so they wander in the village, and right after finishing the food, so they come back to their rooms. They have their rooms all inside the monasteries, isolated rooms around the monastery. So they go to their room and they start their meditation. Okay. When the late afternoon, right after they finish their meditation, actually it said that those days the Bhantes only take one meal a day. Just one meal a day and keep continuously meditating. Then at the afternoon, normally they gather together to have some discussions, perhaps to have a tea or something. Then in the late afternoon, so these Bhantes met. When the greetings and polite conversation were over, he sat down to one side and said to Sariputta. Sariputta Bhante was the chief disciple of the Buddha, and compared to the wisdom he had about the life, uh, he is only second to the Buddha. And there is no any other monk who had such a powerful wisdom. Do you know what is wisdom?
being wise.
Yeah, being wise. Wise about what? Okay, let's say I'm a I'm a mechanic. Let's say I can fix all the parts in the vehicle. Am I a wise person?
No, not necessarily.
Let's say that I'm a mechanic. I'm fixing the cars and I fix all the parts and I know what's going on inside the vehicle and then I can make it correctly. But when I get anger, I cannot control my anger. Am I still a wise person? I cannot control the anger. In the Buddhist teachings, that person in that moment is not wise. When that person get anger and cannot control by applying teachings. Okay? But still, perhaps I can fix the vehicle. I know all about the car. I know all about the world, about the planets, about the oceans, about the fish in the ocean and what they like to eat and what they don't like to eat. But if there is anger, lust, and greed overpowering us, if we don't have power to overcome them, the Buddha say, it is not wisdom. So then what is wisdom?
It's for something.
Yeah, if we can find out what is skillful, what is unskillful, that is wisdom. Okay? If we have Dhamma eye, Dhamma knowledge, the life, the meaning of the life, and the knowledge of the truth of the life, that is wisdom. Okay? So, what is skillful or unskillful? What does that mean? Anyone can tell there is skillful and unskillful.
Non-greed, not hatred, not delusion.
Yeah, skillful defined by the Buddha. If something is beneficial for us, if something is beneficial for others, if something gives meaning for us and meaning for others, if something protect us and protect others, it is skillful. Now, anger is skillful or unskillful? Why is anger unskillful?
Because it hurts
It
yourself
is
and others.
what?
Because anger will hurt yourself and also other people.
Yes. But can somebody tell, no, no, anger is good? What if somebody tell anger is good?
Sometimes anger is good.
So are you telling it's skillful? According to the Buddha's teaching, it should be not hurting ourselves, not hurting others. Anger, does it hurt ourselves? Yeah. Does it hurt others? What do you think? We can try by speaking something out of anger. Does that make the other person peaceful? No. What happens when the anger arises? We go out control. Like we are out of control. We didn't know what's going on. Is it skillful then? Would they say skillful is what is not skillful thing is what is beneficial for us and beneficial for others. Unskillful thing is what is not beneficial for us, not beneficial for others. Whatever there exists such a things like our actions, it is unskillful. Okay? Wisdom is the knowledge about our life. Okay? It is not something Buddha formulated by himself. It is the wisdom is among every one of us. But what the Buddha say, what the Buddha do is to give some access to that wisdom in our life. What is if there is not wisdom? What is that? If there is no wisdom in us, what do we have? Exactly, ignorance. It is not ignorance like if I'm not passed a certain test, like let's say I don't have a PhD, I don't have a master's, I don't have such knowledge about the world. So then, according to the Buddha's teachings, it's not ignorance. Ignorance is if we don't have the proper knowledge about our life and how we work, how we speak, what we should do and what we should abandon. Okay. Actually, when it comes to skillful and unskillful, what we should do to these two? Should we grow both? Should we grow skillful things and unskillful things both together?
No,
No.
Bante.
What is the practice there? What we should do to the skillful things? We should develop it. And what we should do to the unskillful things? Also develop?
No.
No.
Avoid.
We should
Remove.
try our best to abandon it. Okay? What the Buddha gave us is to the teachings which are fit for that practice. Buddha say, now see, anger is unskillful, abandon that. Love is skillful, cultivate that. Okay? So the Buddha cannot do it for ourselves. So what he do is to give us the practices. You think like this, you think like that. One day a person asked from the Buddha, so you teach the Dhamma, you teach the teachings, you teach about the wisdom. How many of your followers, how many of your practitioners become enlightened? Are they all become enlightened? So the Buddha say, I will ask a question. So he asks a counter question. Buddha asked a counter question from that person when he was asking how many of your practitioners become enlightened after you teach the Dhamma. So the Buddha said, well, where are you coming from? So this man said, let's say Toronto. He said, I'm coming from Toronto. So then Buddha said, if somebody were to ask you the road to Toronto, can you tell that correctly? So then the man said, yeah, for sure, I'll tell. So he said the road to the Toronto. If it was today, I would say like go Google Maps and Apple Map or something, and then type, you'll find. So then he said, I know very well about Toronto. I can teach the path. So then the Buddha said, what if somebody want to go to Toronto and he asked the road from you and then you said it correctly, but he want to go to Toronto, but he go somewhere else. So whose fault there? So then the man said, so it is not my so I taught him correctly, but he chose another path. So what should I do? Then the man said. And the Buddha said the same way. I teach the Dhamma. So it's up to them to practice and go directly up until the awakening. If they were to choose another path at some point, so they won't get the expected results. So Buddha say it is up to them. So what happened to the Dhamma followers over time when they keep practicing is that at some point they abandon the practice. They go to different directions and different paths. Is it the fault of the teacher? No, it's because what do you think? Is that wisdom, or if that is wisdom, it should be skillful. Okay. So the Venerable Sariputta Bhante is the one who had very much powerful wisdom. So if somebody, like there are some suttas, people come to the Sariputta Bhante and ask questions about the life, he gave the answer without any hesitation, direct to the right to the point. And then they practice that and they become awakened. So sometimes if somebody were to ask a question from us about the meditations, we might stuck because we cannot see correctly about their nature of their mind, the way that they think. We couldn't catch their thinking. But this Bhante can catch how they practice meditations, how they speak, and how they do their actions. So it's really amazing that this Bhante's knowledge about the life. So then these two Bhantes, Mahakottita Bhante and Venerable Bhante, had a discussion. Now, why do they have discussions even though they are enlightened? Why do they have such discussions? They are enlightened. Do they have questions?
No.
Is there something wrong with their practice? Why? Yeah, it is said that they engage with the discussions on the Dhamma for the benefit of others, those who are not awakened, because they are talking about the life. It's not something strange. It's about the life. When the greetings and polite conversation were over, he sat down to one side and said to Sariputta Bhante. Now, who's saying this to Sariputta Bhante? Yeah, Mahakottita Bhante. Reverend, they speak of a witless person. How is a witless person defined? Reverend, they are called weightless because they don't understand. And what don't they understand? They don't understand this is suffering. This is the origin of suffering. This is the cessation of suffering. This is the practice that leads to the cessation of suffering. They are called witless because they don't understand. And then he appreciated, saying, "Good Reverend." Mahakotita approved and agreed with what Sariputta said. Then he asked another question. Okay, did you got this? If somebody were to ask from you, according to the teachings, who is a witless person? The person who doesn't have wisdom. According to this teaching, how do you answer? Who is a weightless person?
Now, he doesn't understand the Four Noble Truths.
Yeah, the one who doesn't understand the Four Noble Truths. Okay. Now it says the one who doesn't understand this is suffering. This is origin of suffering. Well, we know what about the sufferings, don't we? What is it? What is suffering? Let's say I don't have money. Isn't it a suffering? Yes, it is a suffering if I don't have yeah, if I don't have money, it's a suffering. I don't have food. Is it a suffering? Yes. Have you ever heard people say like I don't have food, I don't have money, I'm so happy? No, people say, oh, I'm in pain, I'm in suffering because I don't have food. Let's say a person doesn't have a shelter, a place to live. They would say, oh, I'm in suffering. So then that is knowledge, isn't it? We know that we don't have food, we don't have money, so it's a suffering. Is it correct? Is it a correct knowledge? Is that person still have this wisdom? What do you think?
Not according to the word. No.
Yeah, the teachings say one need to understand suffering in our lives with a deeper knowledge. Now, let's say ultimately, for anyone who has money, anyone who has food, shelter, fame, respect, they all have undergoing suffering ultimately that they gotta face to old age. They gotta face to sickness. They have to face to death and separate from their loved ones. And they had to face to the impermanence. Whoever. So is that a suffering there? Yes. Rebirth, all this, sickness, these are sufferings in life. So Buddha said, if one doesn't know that just as it is, that these are sufferings in our lives, so Buddha said they don't have the wisdom necessary for the awakening. So the first thing is we need to know about our problem. What do you think? Is these are these things sufferings or not? Old age? Do we like if our appearance changes and our strength of our body decay and we get regular illnesses and our bodies like lose its power? Do we like that? How about a very beautiful person? Let's say there is a beautiful person, very popular in the world, has a beautiful appearance and can sing beautiful songs. Now, what happened over time for them? So they go with this all day sickness. So that is a suffering. Yes. So according to the teachings, one need to understand the suffering with that knowledge of impermanence. So we have impermanence in our life. So we gotta understand that. So if someone doesn't understand it, so Buddha say he's a weightless person. That's what the Sariputta Bhante said. And one doesn't understand the origin of suffering. So what is the origin of suffering according to the teachings? Why there is such things happening into us?
Craving.
Yes. What is craving? But do you know what? Craving also sometimes could be helpful. Let's say I don't have craving for food. So what happens then? I won't eat if I don't have a craving. What?
You lose weight.
Yeah, you lose weight and you will be very thin. You become very weak. It's what sometimes people, this is how people define, like sometimes people say, it's what drives you in your life.
Craving.
I mean, that's how in English, like craving. Now, English word for the craving is trushna. No, the Pali word is trushna. English word is craving. In Pali, it's trushna. Trushna means more like thirst. Thirst. Yeah, that's Hindi. In Pali, when we translate it, it's thirst.
Tanha.
Tanha.
Krishna is French.
Yeah, Trishna, yeah. So the thirst. Thirst is something that we cannot, can we quench our thirst forever?
No.
Let's say I get a thirst for the water, so I will drink water. So is my thirst ever be quenched, like fulfilled? Will I ever get thirst again? Yeah, I'll get thirst again. Let's say that I drink all the water in the ocean because I thirst. Will that ever fulfill the thirst I have inside me? No. I eat all the food in this world. Can I overcome all my hunger? Let's say I get just 2 plates of rice and I get hungry. But will that overcome my hunger forever? Next day, again hungry. Next day, again hungry. So that is just the same way, the craving. The origin of suffering is craving. So that craving will also be like that. So it is insatiable. We have in our lives this mental force which drives us, even though that it brings us good things, but it also has a connection for our rebirth. It keeps us propelling in the cycle of rebirth. Okay. Yeah, when we crave for something, when we get thirst for something, we get attached to it. So then, so how about the enlightened Bhantes? It said that the enlightened Bhantes doesn't have any craving whatsoever. So then, don't they have food? So then, how do they live without craving? So they go by the streets. So they used to see this billboard saying, "Crave for more of this food." So then, what happened to the enlightened Bhante? Does he put that craving again? Then what is there?
Support.
Yeah, they have this purpose, the knowledge of their purpose, why they take the food. Why do we take the food? Yeah, to
Intoxication.
yeah, to nourish the body and to live this life without this like discomfort, like living this life relaxed and to maintain the health. That is the purpose in the teachings for the food. But what is with the culture, like popular culture, what's going on with the food? It is more like excessive craving, isn't it? So we keep stimulating our senses, even though that we having some food, our mind is not like peaceful. It keeps finding more and more food. So it's very difficult to complete the satisfaction of the mind by having necessary food for us. So it keeps us making more and more craving. Let's say we get the best food, but our mind is not satisfied with that. Our mind is not fulfilled with that. Why? What is lacking there? Yeah, we couldn't eliminate this. We couldn't abandon the craving. That's why even though there is necessary food for us and it is enough for us to nourish ourselves and for the good health, to maintain our body and to live comfortably, but it's still our because this craving is inside, so we get more and more disturbances when we get this good food. So our mind is expecting another food. What do you think? The craving is origin of suffering or is it not origin of suffering? Then it is said that because of the craving, let's say in that moment if a person were to die, so they will reborn again as a another being to complete that. So because of the lack of the understanding about the craving. Like you know what? Is it only that we crave for the food? What else do we have craving? It's not just for the food. We have our thirst for whatever we see. We have thirst for whatever we hear, whatever we smell, whatever we taste, whatever we touch. For the clothes, for for the dwelling places, for the clothes, um, for the friends, like for the friends and whatever around us. We keep continuously creating this thirst. And it is said that even though a person cannot live, so even after their breakup of the body, they come back to the things that they have this craving. Because this is very powerful hindrance, very powerful thing to keep us latched into the rebirth cycle. Okay, so that is origin of suffering. So this is suffering is rebirth or old age, sickness, death. And then the origin of suffering is the craving. Then what is cessation of suffering? Yeah, when one abandon craving, cut off craving, so that is the cessation of suffering. And what is the practice that lead to the cessation of suffering?
Eight Noble Paths.
Yeah, it is the Noble Eightfold Path. Now, the person doesn't understand these Four Noble Truths is a witless person, ignorant person, according to the Dhamma. Okay? They are called witless because they don't understand this. So now we in this human life, so we are living this in this human life. So we are practicing Dhamma. So who we are?
Somebody who cringe.
Do we have something in our life to be awakened? Yes. Yeah, we should, in this very life, we should do our best to awaken to these Four Noble Truths. That is the goal. Okay. Now the what the Buddha show us is the necessary teachings to awaken ourselves to these Four Noble Truths. Okay. In the meantime, when we study this Dhamma, when we practice good things, when we cultivate skillful things, that takes us to a better place. Buddha say, by practicing Dhamma, you don't go to a misery. You never go to a bad place if you practice Dhamma. Wherever you go, you will go to a place where you hear the Dhamma.
Even in this life?
Yes, yes. Even in this life. And also after death, they will mostly reborn in higher places, like the heavenly realms. And also they come back to human life, where there is Dhamma, where there is opportunities to practice Dhamma. Because we are creating that karmas, that actions in our mind. So we try to meditate, we try to practice skillful things, we try to practice noble eightfold path. So wherever, even in the middle of the practice, if somebody were to die, so they come back to a place where there is these opportunities to complete their practice. There is an assurance in the teachings. But if one doesn't hear about this teaching, is still in the Buddha's perspective, when a person is keep on reborn again and again, so they are witless. They doesn't have the necessary knowledge, the wisdom for the life. So then the suffering persists. Every place, so people and the beings will be born, but there can be happiness and sadness. So they will like benefit from things they have did in their previous lives. Like we see people, they are very luxurious, have so much fame, they have beautiful voices, they have very like power over others, sometimes like kings. So the reason why they have this much of authority over the world is because in the middle, in the samsara, in the rebirth cycle, at some point they have cultivated good things. But still in the Buddha's teachings, they are witless. Why? Because lack of understanding about the Four Noble Truths. You know, we see like even the kings are fighting. Why? Origin of suffering, craving, insatiable thirst. But still they had a good birth. They had this beautiful, like powerful things around them, but still weightless. Why? Because they have this origin of suffering. So most of the time after conducting like unskillful things, so lead them their lives into a miserable place. Because most of the beings in the world doesn't know that came to them because of an action that they did in a previous life. Okay. So when we practice this Dhamma and we practice mindfulness, we practice meditations, these are giving us the better birth. But let's say we are going for a beautiful place to live in the next life. But if we don't hear the Dhamma, what is that life? What will be there? Again, rebirth, old age, sickness, death, and this cause of the suffering. And there will be all the suffering there. The ignorance will be there. So, according to this teaching, so this Bhante say, those who don't understand this is suffering, this is the origin of suffering, this is cessation of suffering, This is a practice that leads to the cessation of suffering. They are called witless because they don't understand this. So can we study this from our college? What do you think? We go to school. Uh, by our little ages, we were in the kindergarten, and then we, little by little, we spend our life with uh, many grades, and then we acquire all the knowledge. Can we learn that from the school? No. Yeah. Is there anyone other than the Buddha can teach us about the Four Noble Truths? No. How about scientists? What do you think? Can scientists find that? Let's say there is a scientist who wanted to find about the noble, like the knowledge, wisdom. What should they do?
ChatGPT.
There will be ChatGPT. Then the scientist should start from Noble Eightfold Path. Scientists should observe the actions. Scientists should meditate and develop mindfulness, and then start to observe the impermanence. Then the scientist can understand the Four Noble Truths. Okay? So it is said that there should be a Buddha to reveal these Four Noble Truths. Otherwise, there can be some teachings interpreted as Four Noble Truths, but it won't take one to the awakening. Let's say people say this is suffering. Let's say if a person doesn't have money, so it is suffering. So what is the origin of suffering? Because the person is not doing necessary, not getting necessary skills to obtain money. So then they might show, oh, this is the path, so work harder, so you will get that. So for sure, it can lead to the wealth, but at some point we gotta abandon the wealth. So there should be awakening to the Four Noble Truths in order to overcome suffering. Okay? They speak of a wise person. How is a wise person defined? They are called wise because they understand. And what do they understand? They understand this is suffering, this is origin of suffering, this is cessation of suffering. This is the practice that leads to the cessation of suffering. They are called wise because they understand. Okay? So if one were to realize the Four Noble Truths, so there is no any suffering left in their lives. I will share with you one more teaching before ending the discussion that connect the teaching, this teaching. Satya Samyukta. Okay. On one occasion, the Blessed One was dwelling at Kosambi in Sinsapa group. Then the Blessed One took up a few Sinsapa leaves in his hands and addressed the bhikkhus thus: What do you think, bhikkhus? Which is more numerous, these few Sinsapa leaves that I have taken up in my hand, or those in the Sinsapa grove overhead? Venerable Sir, the Sinsapa leaves that the Blessed One has taken up in his hand are few, but those in the Sinsapa grove overhead are numerous. So too, monks, the things I have directly known but have not taught you are numerous, while the things I have taught you are a few. And why? Because have I not taught those many things? Because they are unbeneficial, irrelevant to the fundamentals of the holy life, and do not lead to revulsion, to dispassion, to cessation, to peace, to direct knowledge, to enlightenment, to nibbana. Therefore, I have not taught them. And what? Because have I taught? I have taught this is suffering. I have taught this is the origin of suffering. I have taught this is the cessation of suffering. I have taught this is the way leading to the cessation of suffering. And why? Because have I taught this? Because this is beneficial, relevant to the fundamentals of the holy life, lead to revulsion, dispassion, cessation, peace, to direct knowledge, enlightenment, nibbana. Therefore, I have taught this. Therefore, because an exertion should be made to understand this is suffering, this origin, cessation, and way leading to cessation. Now, friends, there can be many things in this world that we are acquiring and we are collecting to our brain. We are taking all the knowledge about the world. But according to the Buddha, the necessary understanding in order to let go the suffering is the Four Noble Truths. Okay. So we might know everything in this world, what's going on and what's happening and everything. And over the time, we are getting more and more information about the world because of the technology and all the stuffs. But still, if we don't lack the knowledge of the Four Noble Truths, so the Buddha say uh, they cannot awaken. So actually, what we desire in our life, even we are searching for things in our life is actually to overcome the ways of suffering, don't we? Why we do jobs, why we live in a family, why we find friends, and why we invent new things and go move forward in the world is because that we don't like to suffer. We are finding ways to abandon suffering. But what meet for many of the people is not the correct knowledge. What is the correct knowledge? The knowledge should teach us about this is suffering, this is origin, this is end, and this is the way leading to the end of the suffering. That should be the knowledge. But what we get mostly is many different things in the life. So Buddha say, what I taught is these Four Noble Truths. So that is what you need to awaken to. So Buddha say it is inside of our life. So we should awaken to our own life so that we can abandon suffering. So this opportunity only come to us in a Buddha's time. Suppose, let's say there is no Buddhas in the world, we might have all the uh, information about the world, all the things about the world, but we lack this awakening. So that is why Buddha say you should make an exertion to understand Four Noble Truths before you leave this world. Because there are many people, many beings in this world who don't get the chance and opportunity to listen to this teaching. Even for us, let's say if we were not to listen, find these teachings, so we won't get the opportunity to understand, oh, there was a Buddha lived in the past. So he taught the teaching like this. But the people who surrounded the Buddha in that time got the opportunity to awaken to the Four Noble Truths. Okay. So this one also beautiful. Buddha say like this. Because if one's clothes or head were ablaze, what should be done about it? What do you do if your clothes or head is on fire? What do you do? Go to hospital, right? That's what we do. Or we try to extinguish. If our clothes or head on fire, what do we do?
Time to go to the hospital.
Yeah, no time to go to hospital. We try our best to, yeah, to stop the fire. Yeah, press 911. Venerable sir, if one's clothes are, or head were ablaze to extinguish one's blazing clothes or head, one should arouse extraordinary desire, make an extraordinary effort, stir up zeal and enthusiasm, be unremitting, and exercise mindfulness and clear comprehension. For what? Should be mindful when the clothes are on fire? To extinguish that fire. Because one might look on equanimously at one's blazing clothes or head, paying no attention to them, but so long as one has not made the breakthrough to the Four Noble Truths, as they really are, in order to make the breakthrough, one should arouse extraordinary desire, make an extraordinary effort, stir up zeal and enthusiasm, mindfulness, clear comprehension. Buddha say even if a person's head is on fire, clothes is on fire, that's not a big problem. But if a person doesn't have the knowledge about the Four Noble Truths, it's a very big problem. Why? Let's say that person die with burning, but if he die without knowing the Four Noble Truths, that person lost the opportunity. There are many places to be born, if even in the human life. If they were born in a place where there's no Four Noble Truths or Buddhas. So, yeah, that will welcome more and more suffering in the future. This is about the debates. So normally about the life, there are ongoing debates. Have you heard such things? Arguments about the knowledge of the life. It can be religious, it can be some views, it can be philosophies. People fight. Oh, this is the correct, this is incorrect, this is correct. So there are some arguments among the beings, among the humans. So Buddha say, because if any bhikkhu understand as it really is, this is suffering, the Four Noble Truths, and then an ascetic or Brahmin comes along, whether from east, west, north, south, seeking an argument, searching for an argument, thinking I will refute his thesis. It is impossible that he could make that bhikkhu shake, quake, or tremble. Let's say somebody were to understand Four Noble Truths correctly and awaken to the life, there can be someone who coming up to them to refute his knowledge by bringing some arguments and logics. Will tell, so your understanding is incorrect. This is not the correct way. That is not correct. So then Buddha say that monk cannot be shaken. Why? Because the awakening is not something formulated. It's not something thought. It's awakened. It is something inside. Once we are once we get the knowledge about the life, so it is not valid for certain way of thinking pattern, but it is in them as a ground, as established, as a pillar that cannot shake. For an example, let's say there is impermanence. If somebody were to teach us, if we were to awaken to the impermanence, no matter how many people bring the questions about impermanent, he will not be deceived. He will not be refuted. Why? Because that is his own knowledge. He has seen that. If somebody were to show up the true nature, so it is already there. So no one can change it because it's our understanding.
In a way that we cannot use words to describe.
Yes.
So we can.
Yeah. Okay, friends. So, so, so all the teachings, all of these teachings Buddha taught, direct us to awakening to the Four Noble Truths. Okay. So what is the first noble truth?
Suffering.
Yeah, there is a suffering. So what is that? What is that suffering?
Old age.
Craving is the cause for the suffering. Yeah, old age, sickness,
Yeah.
death, separation, yes. And what drives to that rebirth again and again to get into the old age, sickness, and death?
Origin of suffering. Craving.
Yeah, it is craving, cause of suffering. And what is the end of that suffering?
Abandonment of craving.
Yeah, cessation of suffering, abandoning of that craving, same craving. And what is the path lead to that end of the craving?
Noble Eightfold
It's
Path.
the Noble Eightfold Path. So the Noble Eightfold Path is the practice we follow over time. So it will cut off the craving. So that person doesn't get a rebirth. So there is no more old age, sickness, and death. Okay? So then if a person doesn't reborn, what happened to that person? What is moksha?
Vimutti. Liberated.
Where is moksha? Where is that liberation? Let's say there is a moksha, nirvana. Where is it?
No.
Can you show it? Nowhere. Don't you frighten to go somewhere nowhere? Aren't you frightened to go to nowhere? So what is that liberation? Moksha. In the teachings it says abandonment of the craving.
No more suffering.
End of the suffering is abandonment of the craving. Okay? The enlightened beings doesn't have craving here. Okay? So then they will experience without craving. Somebody were to bring the food, so they don't have craving. They will have the food and the meal. And then let's say that person fast pass away. Where does that person go? Nowhere.
The question is not Yes.
What do you see?
Proper way.
We all do these things for go to somewhere that we don't know. Why then Buddha say this is
Nibbana.
correct knowledge, no one can refute you. You practice this Dhamma and you will be awakened to the Four Noble Truths. And then for what? For to be empty?
Nibbana. No more rebirth.
Okay, now let's say if a person were to go to a place, let's say for an eternal, like a higher realm, let's say like that, let's put it like that. There is a world that we reborn there so that we live forever there. So how we go there? Do we go with our body? What goes there? Our body?
Consciousness.
Okay, what came before our this life? What came from the previous life? Karma consciousness, what is it?
It's the fuel, the fuel to be removed.
So Buddha say, to take place the conception, what happened to us to before we born, is that there should be a mother and father. Mother should be in her season, and the consciousness should land in the mother's womb in order to take place the conception. So we will grow in the mother's womb with together support with this. The consciousness, according to the karma, lands on the mother's womb as long as this biological connection with the mother and father. Okay? Then we grow, and at some point we leave. What leaves? Our consciousness. How consciousness lives is according to our actions. It depends on our actions, the way that we spoke and the way that we did from body and the way that we did from our mental actions, things that we thought. Let's say there's a child. All of a sudden, that child's life cut off. Does that child's body grow to the future? If that child's life cut off? No, the child's body doesn't grow into the future because the child was died. So the consciousness goes off from the body. Okay? So then land somewhere according to the karma, according to the actions that little child did so far. Perhaps in another mother's womb. Now, enlightened being. What happened to that enlightened being when passed away? Where is Buddha?
The consciousness,
No more consciousness.
there's no craving.
One day, one of my friends said the Buddha is in the heaven. Yeah, many people say that Buddha is living in the heaven. He's living in the heaven. No. Yeah. Extinguished. It is called extinguished without causes. There is no karma to send that consciousness. Cannot say that this person exists or non-exist. Because if a person were to say that being is exist, which means there should be consciousness. So the consciousness blows out. Let's say I put a fire with the wooden sticks. After burning all the wood, what happened to the fire? Where does the fire go? What happened to the fire? Let's say the fire completed all the process. All the process was completed by the fire. All the wood and sticks was end in ashes. So then the fire blows out. Where the fire goes? Is it exist somewhere?
Extinguish.
Will the fire start back again in the future? No. So the fire ended the process, so it will extinguish and it will never come back. It done the purpose. The fire log was burned. Mostly, in many of the teachings say the Buddhas and the enlightened beings are bearing the final body. They are bearing their final body, which means they have done the purpose here with the body. So that's the final liberation. That's called liberation. Okay. So there should be a system, a practice to extinguish the consciousness. That knowledge is Four Noble Truths. I don't think without knowledge of the Four Noble Truths, there can be a way to extinguish that consciousness. Yes. But the protection lies as long as we do good things. If we were to do good actions, it can take us to good rebirth, at least. But most of the time, the consciousness lies to be born in the lower realms. Okay. Sadhu. Let's say our merits. May all the devas rejoice in our merits. By the power of this merit, may all the devas be able to realize the Four Noble Truths in this Gautama Buddha's dispensation. Sadhu. Sadhu. And may all our departed relatives rejoice in our merit. By the power of this merit, may all the departed relatives be able to realize the Four Noble Truths in this Gautama Buddha's dispensation. Sadhu. And may all our teachers and all the other Bhantes rejoice in this merit, and by the power of this merit, may they all be able to realize the Four Noble Truths in this Gautama Buddha's dispensation. Sadhu. Sadhu. And may also all the participants to this Dhamma discussion rejoice in this merit. By the power of this merit, may all the participants be able to realize the Four Noble Truths in this Gautama Buddha's dispensation. Sadhu. Sadhu. Okay, friends, thank you so much for joining.
Allow us to share mirror content.
Supateva.
Maya katang punyang samina mudita.
Sadhu sadhu anumodami.
Samina katang punyang may hangdata.
Sadhu anumodita.
Sadhu sadhu mudami. Kasa dwana tena. Tatang sapang nasyen kamakalipan.
Amami kamitabban. Supateva. Yukeva. Sansara takinatati. May you be well and happy. Supateva.
Buddha, thank you, Bante.
Namo Buddhaya, welcome, friends.
Tomorrow, Bante.
Thank you, Bante. Namo Buddhaya.
Namo Buddhaya, friends.